Okay, back to leadership is, and I'm going to start with one of my favorite definitions, which is Comavez, Lucas, and McMahon. Susan Comavez, Nancy Lucas, Tim McMahon. They wrote a book called Exploring Leadership, and their definition, a group process of people working, and it's actually working together. And so a couple things to notice is that it's not about a person per se, but a group of people and a process that they're sharing. A group of people working together, and I think actually it's a shared process of people. And it could be a group of people working together to accomplish something good. So the other piece here is not just the working together, but that they're doing something good. And I think I misspelled Comavez. Comavez. And let me just put in the other two authors in that theory. We have Nancy Lucas and Tim McMahon. And again, that's from their Exploring Leadership textbook. Okay, so what I want you to do is look at your definition, and as we move to the PowerPoint for Chapter 10, what are the elements that you see in your definition that are connected to these 4 different theories? And I'll walk us through the theories. And these are going to feel like deja vu because we've talked about these in past chapters: the trait, behavioral, situational, interactional, and then, of course, the phenomenological is one that followed. And we're going to tie from interactional into what I would call relational theories, which I think are phenomenological, but are also about relationship and connection. So let's get started with the trait approach, and I'll walk us through the 4 theories. And it's common personality characteristics is what the trait approach looks at. And these early theories were often called the great man theories because they were about things that people were born with. You had them or you didn't. It was often about being male. There are other things that are related to trait theory, which have to do with bias and favoritism. Height is actually sort of an unspoken one around leadership, but I'm digressing here. A variety of personality traits, but one of the things is over time we've come to see that there's not a particular set of personality traits, but there are, say, a number of traits to draw from. So moving from static traits, we get into behavioral theories. And these are, let's just look at, in this case, we've got consideration, focus on friendship, mutual trust, and respect, as well as initiating, focus on rules, goals, and objectives. Initiating structures. So there's sort of the parameters, the initiating structures, as well as the considerations. And we're going to see that play out in terms of task and process. The considerations would be more the process side. And you can see there's a relational piece here, a focus on friendship, mutual trust, respect. And then the initiating, which would be the task side, the rules, the goals, the initiating structure. So the structural piece, the objectives. So those are the behavioral approaches. And one of the things that I want to connect to here is that it is action oriented. And we're going to look at the strengths based model, and you're going to do the strengths finder assessment, which I love, which looks at 34 leadership strengths. And I am zooming over a bunch of slides here. It's actually stuff they've added to the latest edition, this piece around not the effective peer leadership, but the CBAS. If you're interested in that, please do a deeper dive there. But I'm going to stay focused on the bigger picture here, which is the 4 theories. And I do love peer leadership. And it's emergent form of leadership. And that's one of the things that in the very first slide of the chapter, they talked about title-based leadership, sort of structural leadership, positional leadership, and emergent leadership, which one is sort of bequeathed upon you, the title, the power piece, and the other is earned, the emergent. So one of the next theories I want to cover here is situational approach or situational leadership. And we're going to do a much deeper dive on this in the next section, where we look at Ken Blanchard's situational leadership model, Hersey and Blanchard, and we're going to apply the Tuckman model to that, which is these 4 stages that groups go through. And I have an assessment or a team diagnostic that you can do, and that will be the focus of free write number 7, or one of the options. You can also do the wealth book. So situational leadership is that it's more dependent on the characteristics of the situation than on traits or behaviors. So it's not the person, but it's the context. And it's not that the great man rides in and sort of has their way with influencing what's going on, but it's more the dynamics of what's going on, the needs of the bigger context create the leader that is needed in that moment. And so that's the situational theory.